Okay, so second half of the vocab for our triangles and polygons section. Right triangle anatomy. So each of these is like a separate vocab word. There's a whole bunch of stuff here, so you don't want to pause to write. First off, notice here's the right angle and the right triangle. Okay, these are called the legs. The sides that make up the right angle are called the legs. The hypotenuse is the longest side, and it's the side that is opposite from the right angle. So it's called the hypotenuse. Say that with me. It's a fun word. Hypotenuse. Not hippopotamus. Hypotenuse. Okay. Always the longest side. It's really important to remember. Again, pause so you can write these down. Okay, so this is the fun part, I think. Pythagorean theorem. One of the most useful things. In fact, I was talking the other day with my father-in-law about this, and he builds stuff, right? Big construction company, and he says this one he actually uses. Okay, so Pythagorean theorem. By the way, notice this is a leg. This is a leg. The sides that make up the right angle are called the legs. The other side is called the hypotenuse. Okay, so the sum of the squares of the measures of the legs of a right triangle is equal to the square of the measure of the hypotenuse. Yeah, that's fun to say. What it really says is you take the length of A and the length of B, square them. A squared, B squared equals C squared. So I'll do an example on the next page for you so I can write it out bigger. But again, go ahead and write this down. And this is the theorem right here. So here's our example, my first one. So let's say that this leg here, A, is 5. This leg B here is 12. What this says is A, so we take A, that's 5, and we square it. We add to that B, and we square it. That equals C squared. So remember, squared means times itself. It doesn't mean 5 times 2. It means 5 times 5. So 25 plus 144 equals C squared. Okay? Add those together. So 144 plus 25. So it's 169 equals C squared. Now we're not done. We want to know what C is, not C squared. So what we'll do is we take the square root of both sides. So we say 169, the square root of that, equals C, which, by the way, that's that little square root button on your calculator. It's 13 equals C. So we'd find that C is 13 by using Pythagorean's theorem. We need to watch that again. Back it up. Watch it again. I'm going to do another one for you, just to make sure we've got this. So, again, Pythagorean's theorem, right? This time I'm going to give you A and C, not B. You're going to solve for B, so it's going to look a little different. We already know the answer, right? So we have 5 squared plus, well, I don't know, B squared, still equals C squared, and C again is 13 squared. 5 squared is 25 plus B squared equals 169, because 13 times 13 is 169. Now, we don't just take the square root of that. We have to do a little bit of algebra this time. Last one we didn't have to subtract. This one you're going to have to. So subtract your 25 from both sides. B squared is 144. So B is the square root of 144. And again, square root, we've talked about this year. That means what number times itself? Well, again, that's 12 in this case. So B, we find out, is 12 through the magic of the Pythagorean theorem. So related to that is what are called Pythagorean triples. So it says 3 natural numbers that make the Pythagorean theorem a true statement. I'll give the examples on the next slide. I already gave you one of those, though. I'll show you in the next slide. So remember the Pythagorean theorem, A squared plus B squared is C squared. So whole numbers, right, that make this true. Integers that make this true. Not because zeros are going to work. Integers that make this true. Not decimals. So that's what we call Pythagorean triple. So examples are, now again, if I give you 3 numbers, like say 3, 4, and 5, the longest one, the biggest number, is always the hypotenuse. So 5, and we'll say 3 and 4. Another Pythagorean theorem is 6, 8, 10. So out of those, 10, 6, and 8. One more, you already did that, was at 5, 12, 13, right? So 5, 12, 13. There's an infinite number of these, but these are just 3 that I picked for you. They're called Pythagorean triples. 3 numbers that satisfy Pythagorean's theorem. In other words, the longest number is going to be the C, so we'd say 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. And we can prove that. 9 plus 16 equals 25. And yep, that's true. So that one is a Pythagorean triple.